Hello, and welcome to Brazen. I am so grateful that you're here, especially for this episode. This is going to be an episode that probably shakes you awake a little bit, probably will help you change a lot of your belief systems, a lot of behaviors in your life. It's going to open your eyes. It affects all of us. And it's something that, although it does affect all of us, it has a huge impact on every single one of us. The way we act, the way we speak, the thoughts inside of our mind, the narration that's always happening. It's something that we don't normally talk about. Now, for me, this is a huge part of my everyday life. This is a huge part of my research, my study, my work, my life, both the science and the spiritual. This is involved in all of my ceremonies and rituals. It is a huge part of my meditations and of all the work I do at a soul level. It is also something that I heavily study. I have a question before we get too deep into this. I want you to bring to mind a fear. Okay? What is a fear that you have had your whole fucking life? Your whole life. No, I'm not talking like fucking you're scared of spiders or some shit. Like, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a big fear, a big boy, a fear that you've had as long as you can remember. Maybe it's fear of abandonment. Maybe it's a fear of being hurt. Maybe it's a fear of prosecution. Maybe it's a fear of scarcity. Those are the big ones. You got it? Okay. What if that fear didn't start with you? Now I know. I know. You're probably like, duh, I get this. I understand this. This episode is going to help you go deeper. We're going to look at the soul. We're going to look at the science behind all of this because it is something that impacts all of us. And unless you rock and roll like I do and you spend your life researching and studying and immersing yourself in this work, you probably aren't having conversations about it on a daily basis. But we're going to have that conversation today. It's a trauma ripple. It's family beliefs. It's family dynamics. It's family behaviors. It's scarcity mindsets. It's brushing shit under a rug and pretending like everything's fine. Yeah. So, we're going to talk about several different aspects of this. I'm also going to give you a step by step today on exactly how to release a lot of these old loops, these ancestral loops and patterns. They're unconscious most of the time. And hopefully, today you take things from the unconscious, from the subconscious understanding to the conscious forefront. And you're like, I fucking see that shit now because awareness, focused awareness is the first huge step here. Once you acknowledge what the fuck is going on, especially if you'll say it out loud, once you do that, then you can move forward. Until then, you're going to be spinning your wheels like you're on Looney Tunes. Okay? So let's first look at, oh, I wanted to tell you too, just a side note, before we get into all the good stuff, there's going to be bonus journal prompts. And when I talk about journal prompts, if we've ever worked together, you know that this isn't just like sit down with your journal and write some shit out. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because that probably won't get you far. These journal prompts that I have for you are bonus features. If you'd like them, all you have to do is reach out to me. Just shoot me a DM on Instagram, or you can email me at my personal email, which is heatherpowell.coaching@gmail.com. And these are not just journal prompts. These are for mirror work. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's perfectly fine. That's why I'm your coach. Just send me a message and I'll walk you through everything. And it'll be very, very impactful and very, very successful in helping you release a lot of shit. Okay? Okay. Let's talk about some signs that maybe you have some inherited stress patterns. Get ready because you're human and you're alive in 2025. So you probably have some of these. Do you have thought loops? Do you tend to ruminate and go down the spiral of the scaries? What are some of them? I'm never safe. I'm never enough. Money's always hard to come by. Things are always going to get worse. There's no point. Why even try? Everything's going to go to shit anyways. Did I already say I'm not good enough? That's a huge one. What are the thought loops that you find yourself ruminating in as you downward spiral into the shitty what ifs of life? Do you think that started with you? Probably not. Probably not. Now that's in the brain, that's in the mind, that's up here in your noggin. And I just want to remind you as we're sitting up here in your noggin, your thoughts are not you. I have trouble with that sometimes. Do you have trouble with that sometimes? I know it. I have intellectualized, there we go, the absolute fuck out of that. I've practiced it in my daily life. I've embodied it. I've integrated it. It is part of who I am. And still, because I'm human, I have a lot of difficulty with that sometimes. I will have thoughts that come in, especially in late luteal. And I have a bit of difficulty discerning what is a thought and what is like real, what is true. Because sometimes when you're in late luteal, especially those thoughts come in and they're just like waves in the ocean, and you're like, everything's coming in fast, everything feels heavy and strong. It's difficult. It's difficult sometimes. It's difficult when the thought patterns start going through the motion to stop, to breathe, to regulate yourself, to take control of the situation and be like, my thoughts are not me, my thoughts are not true, they are just thoughts. It is okay. It's difficult to have that discernment on your thoughts being one piece of you, a piece, puzzle piece, and you, the observer, observing said thoughts. Mind fuck. I know. Let's move down into the body. Some signs that maybe you have some inherited stress patterns. Do you have a lot of tightness in your chest? Fuck. That runs through my family. I'm not going to go into personal experiences because they're not my personal experiences to share, but fucky fuck. The tightness in the chest runs through my family in such a way that there have been so many doctor's appointments and ER visits. So many. So many. You have tension in your chest? Does your gut drop down into your asshole when you're triggered? Oh, I got one for you. This is one of mine. When certain triggering events come up, and we're not talking about the first time a triggering event has come up. We're talking about like the 20th. Okay. Like it's been a minute. By the time that 20th triggering event shows up, even though you are aware of it, which is the first step, do you see red in a way that you turn into the fucking Hulk? Same. Same Z's. Yeah. Another really interesting one, a great way to identify that maybe you have some inherited stress patterns. Do you notice that you are walking around through your entire life with a clenched asshole and your shoulders to your ears and your tongue pressed so hard against the roof of your mouth and your teeth grinding? All right, we're on the same page. We're here. Let's go into, because we got the noggin, we got the body. What about the emotions, the energy itself? We're gonna go a little deep here. Do you ever notice that you have certain behavioral patterns that show up in your life because at the core of them, you actually have a fear of abandonment and somebody leaving you? So you're trying to leave first so you are not abandoned? Yeah, yeah. Okay, what about this one? Do you find that you have certain ways of speaking to yourself or others, or certain ways that you believe or have belief systems, certain behaviors that show you that you have a very, very deep emotional wound of shame? Yeah. Do you walk around throughout your entire life just assuming that you're not enough? Assuming that everybody feels like you're not enough? Assuming that everybody sees that you're not enough? Assuming that one day you're going to be found out as not enough, not smart enough, not educated enough, not good enough, not enough. Okay. Let's take a second. Let's take a fucking second. Let's do some regulation because I just brought some shit to the surface for us. And remember, we are sitting in neutral curiosity right now because we do not need your entire body to go into survival mode right now, where you start to downward spiral and like fucking shallow breathe with a tight asshole. We need to relax. So let's do it. Let's just start by kind of whether you're sitting or standing, it doesn't really matter, but move your hips back and forth. Start a little bit quicker and then go as slow as possible. Go so slow. And if you're not on YouTube, come over to YouTube and just watch. Do it with me. Okay. Go so slow, moving back and forth, specifically in your hips, that you're like, this is kind of annoying. I want to go fast. That's when you know you got it. That's when you know you're in the right spot. Inhale. Ah. Exhale. You can stop moving those hips if you'd like, or you can continue. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Let's do some breathing though. I'm going to have you inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. Hold it at the top for 4 seconds. Exhale, exaggerate it. Make some noise. Be silly. Exhale through your mouth 6 seconds. Okay, 4, 4, 6. Are you ready? Let's go. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Ah. I know. I know. It sounds weird when you do the exhale. It feels unnatural, maybe, or it feels silly, or what the fuck ever. It's okay. Do it anyways. You do that for me 5 times. Okay. I'm going to talk to you about the science and the soul of this while you do it. I have some very key points I wanted to speak to you about. So you just breathe. Spiritual end of this. As of recent, and also for a very long time, but especially as of recent because of social media and the access to all of us having, or the access that all of us have, that is just so much information and knowledge, and that has created so much change, which is fantastic. But there's been like this focus on intergenerational trauma. Maybe you've heard it called, what are some things that it's been called? Generational curses, ancestral curses, things such as this. Now, that's true for the most part. There are things. I mean, maybe there's even curses on your fucking lineage. I don't know, bro. I don't fucking know your story. Maybe. But at the end of the day, your lineage does hold a lot of wounds. And how could it not? Can you just go on a little trip with me while you're breathing? I want you to think about just what the last 200 years on this earth has looked like. Just 200 years. That's just a few grandparents. That ain't that many grandparents, babe. The last 200 years, how many wars? How much death? How much famine? How much scarcity? How much fear? How much violence? Breathe while you think of it. Just consider that. Okay, so like when was your great grandma born? Probably around when mine was, or mine were. I had more than one, obviously. Let's say 1900 to 1920-ish. There you go. That's 100 years, give or take. So just in that 100 years, think about the violence on women in those 100 years. Think about the 100 years before that. We don't know shit about fuck when it comes to history. I love history. I love research. I love immersing myself in anything and everything. Give it to me. Let me have it. Travis and I were talking recently about how we don't really know anything about history. Like in the war, in any battles, we only know the victor's story for the most part. We don't know the little details of the people who lost. We don't even know the little details of the people that won. We only know the story that was told. We don't know how many people had conversations about hiding things, keeping them secret, keeping them pressed under the rugs and smushed in there, swept in there. We don't know. We don't know. But you want to know what does know? All of that? Our fucking bodies, our souls. You are so much more than a brain. Life is so much more than wake up, go to work, have your fucking dinner, go to bed. So when we think of this, we bring this to mind because I want you to know something. This is something that I learned in the science a little bit, but I really understood it deeper in the spiritual aspects. Your lineage doesn't just carry wounds, it also carries wisdom. It doesn't just carry quote unquote curses, it also carries gifts. You know, one of my biggest lessons from the first shaman that I ever worked with, and this is kind of hard to talk on because it does involve another human. And it's painful a little bit sometimes, even still, even through all the healing and all the stuff. I have a lot of spiritual gifts that I have uncovered throughout the years. They have been unveiled. They have shown up, and they've been things I've always known. I mean, most of you guys know for like the upward motion of 10 years, I was in a paranormal research group. We traveled all over the Midwest. It was just like the TV shows you watch. There was monitors set up, there was a home base, there was all the tools, it was everything. And I worked with a woman at that time. Her name was Anne. She was incredible. She has since passed away. We love you, Anne. And she helped me understand my gifts even deeper. She helped me understand that I'm a medium. She helped me understand what I was experiencing and why. Gifts like this have emerged and surfaced throughout my entire life. Things that I'm able to see and understand. When I worked with that first shaman, I went through many different healings with her. Some of which were so out of this world. Visualizations, meditations. They were also so real. I could feel them throughout my entire body for days after. And one of the healings was specifically about my maternal line, about my mother, who I don't have contact with and never will again. That's my choice. And her mother, who I also don't really have contact with. Again, a choice I've made. And the women that came before them, came before me. And that's a hard choice to make. It's a really hard choice to make. That is not a light and easy breezy choice to make. So when we went into this healing, I was like, I don't really fucking know if I'm ready. I don't really fucking know if I'm ready right now because like there's a lot of shit there. And I had this moment of healing of recognizing that the women that came before me, including the ones that are still with us here on this earth plane, they probably, I don't know for certain, I don't know for sure, they probably have the same gifts that I have because I got them from somewhere. But if you choose to live in a lower density, a lower frequency, in certain behaviors, certain ways of living, certain ways of thinking, you understand, you get it. If you live down here, make choices down here, think down here, believe down here, your gifts are going to live down here. And those probably don't feel like gifts anymore. You hear me? So I bring this to your attention because on the soul side of this, whenever you feel as though maybe there's a generational curse, quote unquote, or a wound, it's a coin with two sides, babe. Okay? Because also, of course, we're talking about this because we just got done with the full moon eclipse, the lunar eclipse that happened on the 7th. Still in the energy of it. This is very much the energy that it's bringing forward for all of us. Do I align every single thing I do with clients to the astrological events that are happening because it just makes fucking sense? Because why would we not work with the energies that are all around us all the fucking time anyways? Yes, I do, because we're smart fucking women. And this eclipse is inviting us to honor our ancestors, honor ourselves, and release the fucking pain, to recognize the wounds and the wisdom. I wrote down some sciencey shit. I'm gonna run this past you. Let me talk to you about the full moon, though, real quick. That might be a little bit helpful since I just brought that up. So, the Pisces full moon, this is looking at things like spirituality and dreams and intuition. It's a collective healing, it's the unconscious patterns and illusions and old cycles that are ready to be cleared out. That's what's coming up right now. And you probably already know that eclipses are basically like cosmic resets, right? Where one door is shutting and another door is opening. It's exposing the shadows of your psyche. It's exposing the shadows of your lineage, especially this one. So, any inherited burdens that you've been carrying, any karmic loops that you've been living in, and you'll know it's a karmic loop in many ways. And one of my favorite ways to talk to clients about when it comes to this, especially on the woo woo spiritual side, you're going to know it's a karmic loop if not only have you lived it multiple times with different looking people, different looking circumstances, but it's the same motherfucking experience, but you probably have seen your mom or your grandma, or maybe it's on your dad's side, your dad, his parents. You've seen people live it. And it takes a certain amount of awareness and willingness to actually see these things, comprehend them, understand them, not just be like, yeah, that exists, burp, 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 and then go along with your whole life, which is fine. You can totally do that. But it's not going to get you as far. I know I've been there. I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see that. And then I just go on about my day. Didn't get me very far. This Pisces full moon lunar eclipse asked us, I say asked because I'm filming this directly after it. It's the Monday after the full moon eclipse. So we are very much still in the energy. But by the time this comes out to you, and hopefully you're listening to it as soon as it hits, or maybe even after, which is fine. That Friday when this comes out, we are still in the energy. Okay. I personally believe that when it comes to like new moons and full moons, it's like 3 days before, 3 days after that we are in the energy. It's not like a light switch. It doesn't go on and off. It's not like full moon's over, shut off the energy. No, it's not how this works. I believe that your eclipse energy is like a week to 2 weeks where you're feeling that energy, which is one of the reasons why we have a 2 week shadow period after the eclipse season. It's like 2 weeks of the full moon, 2 weeks of the new moon, 2 weeks of the fucking shadow integration period. Okay. So by the time that you're hearing this, it's going to be the Friday following the full moon. What day is that? I don't know. The 13th, 12th, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the 13th. Is it Friday the 13th? That's fantastic. I don't know. I just did the math in my head and saw a calendar in my brain. So I don't know if that's right or not. Um, but you are still in this energy. So this is still something that you can apply to your life. This is also something I teach heavily. This is one of 40 different fucking large topics and healing modalities that we're going to go through. This is a very large part of what we do. When I talk to you about doing this work at a mind, body, and soul level, I'm real serious. We go into the mind with the brain retraining and the neuroplasticity work and understanding how to do all that. We even tap into NLP. We do all of that. When it comes to the body work, we're doing body reconnection so you don't feel like a floating fucking head anymore and you actually reconnect to your body and maybe you even learn how to appreciate and love her again. We reconnect you and help you balance out divine feminine and divine masculine energies. We do somatic work so we can regulate your body, regulate your nervous system so you're no longer in survival. And when it comes to the soul work, we are doing ancestral healing. P.S. If you want to do this, you should join the fall retreat because it starts October 22nd. Yeah, October 22nd. 5 weeks. You can do VIP or regular access. VIP is $577. Regular access is $333. Is that right? I believe that is right. 577 for VIP is going to get you not just the coaching live weekly every single week on Wednesdays, and of course your guest teachers and all of the practices and the integrations. Like there's just so many bonuses and extras. It's really incredible. VIP also gets you the private VIP chat, which means you and I will be talking all the time for 5 weeks. You're going to get extra resources, extra coaching, extra support, extra energy work, all of the things. Okay. Anyways, so we're going to go into this. We're going to go deeper into the science of what this means. And I just want you to take some notes about this. I want you to do your own research. I never want you to just trust me. Okay. I do want you to trust me, obviously. I mean, duh, I'm your self-worth coach. But I do not ever want you to just take my word for shit. I want you to be empowered. I want you to go do your own research, study on your own. Maybe some of this lights a fire under your ass and you get really interested in it and you're like, Heather, I took that little nugget and I went down a whole motherfucking rabbit hole. And now I'm highly educated on this whole aspect about myself that I didn't even ever think about before this podcast episode. Good. Love that for you. Fuck yeah. Okay, so let's talk about intergenerational trauma and epigenetics, because that's really the science of this. If you don't know what these are, that's fine. That's fucking fine. So, epigenetics is the study of how environmental factors impact and influence the gene expressions through anything that's happening around them, anything that they're experiencing. So, anything that your mother experienced, especially while you're in the womb. It's a study of how all of those factors influence the gene expression without changing the underlying DNA sequence. So we're not changing that, we're just influencing the expression. And intergenerational trauma is just as it sounds. It's a transmission of trauma or the consequences of trauma through multiple generations. And we're not just talking about like 2 or 3 generations here. This is the important aspect that I would love for you to do your own research on. So I think this was 2019. I don't have this one written down. I believe it was 2019 was one of the most recent ones. There was a lot of studies that they were doing. There were a lot of studies that were happening, especially with mice. And they were doing these different types of studies on mice all over the world, different people, different scientists, different experiments. The one in 2019 that I'm thinking of, it had ended in 2019, and they had done several different experiments, that is, on these mice. And they were looking at how many generations of mice would be affected and impacted by certain types of trauma. They had done certain types of things with these mice, which I'm not saying is okay. It's kind of fucked up what they did, but it's what they did, okay? So, like, they cut their tail off at one point. Like, they did all these different things impacting these mice and putting them through very traumatic experiences. And they were watching to see how these influence, like we said, epigenetics and intergenerational trauma, how these traumatic events impacted and influenced the gene expression for them and their offspring and their offspring's offspring and so on down the line. And they were noticing that it wasn't just the first like 2 or 3 generations that were having the gene expressions be changed. Again, we're not talking about full change of the actual DNA itself. We're talking about the gene expression. It was 10 fucking generations down, 11, 12 generations down, where they were seeing that the DNA sequence wasn't changed, the gene expression was, and it was due to the traumatic events that they were creating. How fucking wild. Makes sense though, right? Makes complete sense. When you actually zoom out big picture, think about it, you're like, that fucking checks out though. The same thing is happening for us. Now, I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole, but I'm going to drop a seed. And I want you to do your own research. What if many of the things that we feel as though are quote unquote wrong with us, all these labels that we put on ourselves, right? Whether you put the label on yourself or a professional put the label on you, not saying that's bad, just saying, what if some of those are just influenced gene expressions from past traumatic events? in your lineage. What the fuck if? What the fuck if? I will tell you one of the things that I found out again through my first shaman that I ever worked with. I have always, since the beginning of time, and that felt very absolute. So let me rewind that. Up until this point, my verbiage would have been I have always had issues with my womb. That's one of the things I went to that shaman about. I was like, ever since the beginning of me going to doctors, they have told me that I had issues with my womb. I've been told that I would never be able to conceive. I was told that I would never be able to have children. And I had already come to terms with the fact that I actually did not want to conceive and I did not want to birth children. I've always felt like I was here for something other than birthing children. That was just not why I'm here. But it's still, as a woman, it kind of pisses you off. You're like, what? The one thing I'm supposed to be able to do biologically, you're telling me I cannot do? The fuck? And when I went to the shaman and spoke to her about this, and we had several different discussions about this, it had a lot to do on the spiritual side. It had a lot to do with my lineage. It had a lot to do with violence with women. And I was shocked, but then also not. I had to take a step back and I had to sit. You know what? You know, after you do like deep spiritual work, it takes you anywhere between 3 days to 3 weeks to actually sit with what the fuck you experienced. And I'm not just talking like an ayahuasca journey, okay? Because there was no ayahuasca journey involved here. This was just me and my shaman in a fucking ceremony and having a conversation. Like, it doesn't always have to be the big, but you know how sometimes it takes up to 3 weeks to like actually let that shit settle? And you're like, what the fuck? Because not only are you letting all of it settle, but like for me, at least with that, I was having physical changes in my body, specifically around my menstrual cycle. My body knew what the fuck I was understanding, which of course, duh. But it's never less shocking when you have physical transformation happen due to spiritual work. Never less shocking. So I wrote down specifically from one of the studies something I wanted to read to you. Okay, so I'm just going to read this word for word. I got it in big letters here so I can see it. When an individual experiences a traumatic event, their body releases specific stress hormones that can alter the chemical modifications on their DNA. We just talked about this, okay? These words are exactly what I talked to you about before when it comes to the epigenetics. It's the environmental factors and how it's influencing the gene expression, but it's not changing the DNA. So, when an individual experiences a traumatic event, their body releases stress hormones that can alter the chemical modifications on their DNA. These are called epigenetic marks. Are you with me? These modifications can be passed to the offspring through sperms or eggs. Again, we just talked about all this. It's just from a study, and I want you to hear this. It's wild. These modifications can be passed to the offspring through sperm or eggs, potentially increasing the vulnerability to developing mental health problems, such as, get your seatbelt on and your party pants on, babe. Are you ready? Such as anxiety, depression, PTSD, post-traumatic stress, is it disorder? Yeah, it's disorder. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Are you shitting me? Now, another study that I read also added in there several other things such as bipolar. What was the other one? There was eating disorders that were listed. There was there was an entire list. So are you hearing this? Again, this is my world. I live here 24/7. I'm having these conversations all the time, and it still never ceases to amaze me. It's incredible. Especially because when you only know what you know, when you can't do better until you know better, and now you know better. So now you can do better. Day by day, piece by piece, you know? So I'm going to read this one more time to you without stopping. I just want you to let it fucking soak in. Okay? When an individual experiences a traumatic event, their body releases specific stress hormones that can alter the chemical modifications on their DNA. These are called epigenetic marks. These modifications can be passed to the offspring through the sperm or eggs, potentially increasing the vulnerability to developing mental health problems such as anxiety, depression, and PTSD, post traumatic stress disorder. So, you remember earlier when I had you think back to 200 years? Just 200. My girl, my dude, my human. Humans have been alive way longer than 200 or 2000 years. Okay, it's been a long fucking time that we've been here. We are the sum, you and I sitting here, we are the sum of all the experiences of the lineage that came before us. And again, it's not like, oh, fuck, all the shit they endured. Now I'm the living, breathing embodiment of all of those stress hormone epigenetic marks. I mean, yes, but also of the knowledge and the wisdom and the gifts and the good. Okay. It's not just the heavy, but it is very informative. It is very good to know and understand both sides of the coin. So here's the thing. The more that you start doing necessary mind, body, and soul work to release the wounds, to release, because the wounds show up in your behavior. Do you want to know what your belief systems are? The belief systems that are not helpful to you whatsoever, they show up in your behaviors. And I'm not just talking about your behaviors when you're like in a great mood and you're fucking everything's going your way and you're feeling. No, I'm talking about your behaviors when you're fucking irritated, you're pissed, you're frustrated, you're scared, you're anxious, you're depressed. I'm talking about all those behaviors. That's where that shit shows up. You will know your limiting beliefs based off of the behaviors that you have when shit ain't going your way. For sure, Z's. So, how do we figure that shit out? How do we kind of like peel, almost like layers, peel back the layers on an onion of you getting rid of all of the shit? Can we? Yeah, we fucking can. Because you, my dear, are quite magical. And I don't say that lightly. I mean, legit. Life, this world, this earth that we're on, way more magical than anybody's giving it credit for. Unless you actually understand how magical this world is at whatever level you're able to comprehend. I mean, for me, I'm not even like level 5. Like, this world's fucking magical, and what you are capable of doing is just as magical because you are nature, just like the trees, my dude. You are nature. You are fucking a stardust. Not to get real woo-woo weird with you, but like fucking think about that for a second. You are literally made of the same shit stardust is. Okay? You're capable. You are more than capable of doing this. Do not give your fucking power away and be like, I can't do that. It's years and years and generations of shit. No, that you can do it. I did it. I help clients do it all the time. And I'm going to give you how many are here? 5 easy steps. Just do these 5 steps. And if you're like, Heather, I want support, I want help, I need guidance, then you just message me. You want it to get a little bit more spiritual, you want to have some big old ceremonies where really crazy, amazing stuff happens that you cannot explain, let me know. You want to do deep neuroplasticity work, and again, we can even pull in some of the NLP work. Do you want to do deep fucking brain retraining work so that way you can no longer have anxiety fucking running your life? Let me know. Let me know. But I'm going to give you these 5 steps. And this is integration of the soul and the science, the understandings we just talked about on how to release shit from you that's been living in your lineage for a really long time. Please do your research on epigenetics and intergenerational trauma because it will change your life. Okay? Step number 1, you have to map the pattern. You have to acknowledge it. And when I say acknowledge, this is the same thing that I teach when I teach anything about brain retraining, neuroplasticity work. 4 steps. Number 1, acknowledge. Don't just acknowledge. Ooh, I almost just burped. Don't just acknowledge on a piece of paper. You have to acknowledge that shit out loud. You have to use your voice. I'm going to take a drink. I've been using my voice too much. I almost burped. There we go. You have got to say it out loud. When you speak about the thing, about the heaviness, about the whatever, when you use your words and you speak it out loud, you are not giving the thing power. That is one of the biggest illusions. When you talk about, let's say, a fear that's been running through your fucking lineage for decades and centuries, I know it feels like if you say it out loud, then it's going to be like this fucking demon that comes to life or this scary fucking monster that shows up in front of you and now it has all the power. That is not true. That is your fear talking, and you are not your fear. Remember, you are not your thoughts. Those are things that you observe. The you that's observing it, you need to take your power back in this moment. So observe it, acknowledge it, map the fucking pattern, write down the belief or the behavior that has been passing through your fucking lineage for as long as you have known. And here's the beginning. Here's something you can like write it down, because first write it down, like write it all down and then speak it out loud. It'll be a lot easier that way. And then when you speak it out loud, you can just kind of start going on a tangent and let things fucking roll. But start writing with the women in my family always. That'll bring that shit out. Yes, it will. Some bitch. That will bring it out. The women in my family always ... Yeah. Do that. Do it. Okay, so then you're going to get to this point, step 2, you're going to need to regulate, because as soon as you fucking bring that shit up to conscious awareness, you bring it from the fucking back end of unconsciousville, you bring it up out of your body, you're probably going to start having some survival fucking tactics show up. You're probably going to get a clenched butt. Your shoulders are going to go to your ears. You're going to have shallow breathing. You're going to feel unsettled and dysregulated. So step number 2 is regulate. Should we just do this together? Why don't we just do this together? We have time. I have time. Do you have time? Let's just fucking do it. So get a piece of paper and a pen, if you haven't already. And go ahead. Oh, let me check. This plate looks like something's happening. There we go. Get a piece of paper and a pen, and I want you to write the women in my family always. And just take a few moments to write. Press pause if you need to, okay? The women in my family always. That's a nail biter. All right, I'm going to start with number 2 here. So again, press pause if you need to. So now that we got all that worked up, let's regulate. We're going to do some breathing and some pendulum, some bilateral movement. Okay. So what I'm going to have you start with here is sit up nice and straight, and I want you to roll your shoulders back a few times and then let them fall. Chest wide open, titties to the sky. Well, that was wild. It just stopped recording. Zoom did. So wild. So let's get back to it. You're probably still there waiting. So rolling our shoulders back, opening our chest up, and we're going to take a nice big inhale and exhale. Not the best time for Zoom to stop when you're in the middle of trying to regulate, you know? All right, again, inhale and exhale. Now remember, inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And one of the key words, one of the key points to remember when you're doing this breath work is to let your exhale be longer than your inhale. It's going to be very, very helpful. And make sure you are exhaling specifically for this work. Make sure you are exhaling through your mouth and you're making some noise. Okay, let's do that again. Inhale and exhale. Good. So we're going to do a couple different pieces of bilateral stimulation. And bilateral stimulation you've likely heard of when it comes to like EDMR work. There's that type of modality or therapy. Overall, the more that you do bilateral stimulations, any type of practices really. It doesn't just have to be the rapid eye movement like with EDMR. Whenever you do any type of bilateral stimulation, you are signaling safety to your body. You are telling your body that it is safe in that moment. So we're going to start with just a simple hands on our arms. Okay. We're just going to have our hands here for a moment. I want you to inhale, exhale again. And then just start moving your hands up your arms, back and forth. And I know if you're on YouTube with me right now, you are able to see it. It's probably a lot easier. If you're not, maybe you head over to YouTube soon. Leave me a comment. Would love to know how this helped. Let me know how weird it was to have it stop in the middle. But more than anything, I want you to just pay attention to how this is changing how you feel in your body. If you maybe had a racing heart before, a lot of anxiety. Now we're going to make it even more simple. And I know simplicity sometimes feels like it won't work, but what will always work is the simple stuff. Okay. So we're going to leave our hands where they are. We're not going to move them up and down our arms this time. We're just going to go back and forth and breathe. Isn't that wild how easily that works? Okay. Go and put your hands on your thighs for me. And we're going to do one of my favorites. This is bilateral stimulation with your eyes. It is not the rapid movement that you would do with EDMR. However, this is going to be movement and it's going to be focused awareness. Okay. So I'm going to tell you what to do and then we're going to do it together a few times. So first, I'm sure by some professionals, they would tell you it does matter if you look left or right first. I don't think it matters. We're going to start with the left together though. Okay. And you're going to turn your head and you're going to look all the way that you can to the left and almost make it parallel. So you're just making a nice 190 there, or not 190, a nice 90 there, and you're looking at the wall. And then what you're going to do is you're going to find something that's in your field of vision when you look all the way to the left. And I want you to just focus on it for a moment. And I want you to just find something that's pretty, something that you enjoy, something that brings you joy. And just sit there for a moment and soak it in. It's okay if you narrate it and you're like, this is this, and this is pretty, and I like this. That's fine. You can do that. Or you can just observe it and not have any narration. Okay. So you're going to do that. And then you're going to slowly start scanning by moving your head and eyes together. You're going to scan all the way to the right. And then when you get to the right, you guessed it, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to pause there for a moment. You're going to observe something that brings you joy. Maybe it's the first thing that your eyes move to. Let your intuition guide you. And you're just going to take a nice big inhale, exhale. And then you're going to scan back to the left. Now, the whole time that you're scanning, whether it's to the left or to the right, you're also just moving really, really slow, moving your eyes steadily, and you're seeing, again, things that bring you joy, things that make you happy, things that are pretty. When you get back to the left, inhale, exhale. All right. So start on the left, pause, inhale, exhale, observe. You can narrate if you'd like. We're going to slowly scan to the right, taking in everything along the way, just letting it feel nice. When we get all the way to the right, pause, inhale, exhale, observe something that brings you joy. We're going to go back and forth a few times together. And I want you to notice your beginning state and your ending state. Because if you don't track your progress, you're going to think that none of this shit works. It does, no matter what, whether you acknowledge it or not. But it's important that you acknowledge it because then you're going to want to continue to do it. And this is a great practice to work into your life and integrate into your life if you have any type of anxious moments, if you declare yourself as an anxious person, if maybe sometimes you can feel the tightness or the tension in your chest, if life gets heavy sometimes, the list goes on. Great thing to use. Ready? So let's roll our shoulders back a few times again. Just let them fall. Inhale, exhale, just to get into our bodies. And let's look to the left. Find something that's pretty. Inhale, exhale. And just slowly start to scan to the right. Just noticing things that make you happy. And we're looking for a yawn. or any other way that your body shows you that it's releasing energy. Go ahead and pause when you get to the right. Find something that brings you joy. Excuse me. I got a yawn out. Love that for me. Scanning back to the left. Let me talk to you about the yawns. So it's not just yawning that will be your body's way of informing you that it has downshifted, if you will. When you get to the left, inhale, exhale, look for something that makes you feel joy. It's not just a yawn. It could be many things, but it does tend to be a yawn that signals back to you when you're signaling the safety. It signals back to you that your body is downshifting and is no longer in a survival state or fight or flight. And when you're ready, you can just come and look straight again with me. When you do this, you are telling your body that there's no need for it to be on high alert. This is the regulation. Okay? So number one was map out the pattern. It was acknowledge the pattern, understand it, have full awareness. Number two is regulate. You're definitely going to fucking need that when you do this work. Number three is diffuse and distance. Now we're going to use a Berkeley study that happened in 2020 for this piece of it. And this is the distance part. So there's a lot of different ways that I help women do this work right here, the diffusing and the distancing yourself from it. Sometimes it can just be the understanding that you are not your thoughts. Sometimes that's enough for someone to be like, hey, you know that narration that's happening in your head at all times, that sometimes there's even a back and forth conversation that's happening, even though maybe sometimes you don't notice it. We all have it. You know that voice, that's not you. The one observing it is you. The one sitting in the seat of consciousness, that's you. The voice, the chit chat, the chatter, that ain't you. We'll go deep into that one day if you'd like, and we can really do the soul work and the mindset work with it, because that's a big part of the neuroplasticity work is understanding this aspect. But sometimes that's enough. Sometimes, though, just like in this Berkeley study that happened in 2020, it's very helpful if you speak about it in the third person. So, like, for instance, let's say that you mapped out the pattern and you recognized all the women in your family always feel like they're not enough. Maybe that's it. You regulated. And then you're going to speak out loud. Use a mirror. Here is your mirror work. Use a mirror and go up to a mirror and in the third person say, she is observing and understanding that all of the women in her family have felt before as though they are not enough. Speak about it in the third person to distance yourself completely. If you want to know more about this, go do your research and look into that Berkeley study. Well, there's many of them, but specifically that one. It's a really, really great way to put some distance and some space between you and this old limiting belief. Because remember, these live in the subconscious. These live in the body. Your body, your subconscious, that hardware that's going on, the unconscious even, that's running fucking 95% of the show, bro. Only 5% of your life is ran by your conscious mind. So this space that you're putting between you and this thing is this thing that's been in your lineage, in your subconscious, living in your body, living in the 95% for so long. So it might be helpful to put some distance and space between you and this thing so as to not put yourself back in survival or to go complete shutdown. Because that's usually what happens, right? Is that we'll sit down to try to do this work and then we'll sabotage the whole entire thing. We'll be like, oh, I'm going to get up. I got to go do dishes. Or, oh, I can't sit still. I feel like I can't sit still, so I'm not going to. And we just allow ourselves to get up and move. We don't have the discipline to sit there and say, no, I'm going to fucking do this. Sometimes we make up this whole story. No, I can't do it because of this. I have to get up because of this reason. I can't sit and do this work. It's too uncomfortable, blah, blah, bullshit. Whatever. We all have different things. This is right in that area of regulation and distance is going to be a lot more helpful than getting real up close with it if you are not in a space where you can have the discipline and willpower to say, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to go through this and I'm not going to walk away from it and avoid it. Distance will help. So number one, map the pattern, acknowledge it. Number two, Make sure you are regulating. Number 3, diffuse the situation and distance yourself from it. Number 4, ritual. We have rituals that we do. All of us do rituals all day, every day. It's the habits and the choices you make. Some people have full-blown rituals where they like touch something 3 times before they'll do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like everybody has different rituals for different reasons and different ways. This ritual though, real easy peasy lemon squeezy. I would just, if I were you, write a page or 2 in your journal about the family pattern that you're releasing. Why are you releasing it? What has it impacted in your life? How have you been impacted not only by this family pattern of behavior, beliefs, and ways of speaking and being? How have you been impacted by it as an adult now? Maybe you're living out that pattern, but how were you impacted as a child? How was your parent or was your mom or your dad impacted? Go far, go deep. I'm going to burp again. I need to take another drink. Don't go shallow deep here. Who's that going to help? No one. Don't do the 2-foot, go in the 10-foot pool here. Okay. So write a full page out loud and then go read it out loud in front of a mirror. Get emotional. Your emotions are your fucking magic sauce. If you have been doing mirror work and journaling prompts and healing work of any fucking kind, and you're like, Heather, this shit doesn't work, it's because you're not getting emotional. I'm right now telling you that's why. If you want to have an experience that changes your life, which think about this, anytime your life has pivoted, anytime there's been massive moments of clarity, massive, oh, I just sounded real Wisconsin there. I only lived up there for a few years, but that just came out hard. Anyways, if you want massive transformation, if you're looking for this, if you think back on the times when that happened, it's because you had an emotional experience. Emotional experiences create massive change. That's how humans work. That's how we work. So if you're doing mirror work or you're doing journal prompts or you're doing even affirmations and you're like, blah, 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 this is what I did, and you're not getting into it and you don't believe it's going to work and you're kind of even getting sarcastic about it and you're not letting yourself feel anything, that's why the fuck it ain't working. And if you want help, let me know. I can tell you exactly what to do. But each person it's a personal steps. So I have to talk to you a little bit. So just send me a message. Okay. So this is what I would do if you want to get witchy bitchy with it, which being witchy bitchy, being spiritual, being woo woo, the list goes on of all the other fucking terms, is just understanding that you and I are nature. Everything's nature. And we are all part of it. And it's just literally coexisting with nature. It's being fucking smart. It's being connected to God, source, universe, divine, creator, use whatever word you want to use. It's being connected to your ancestors, your guides, your angels, your whatevers. Being connected to the earth and living in accordance to that. So what would I do if I were you? Well, since this is a Pisces full moon, I would incorporate water. So I would do the whole thing, acknowledge it, map out the pattern, regulate, diffuse, and distance. And this ritual, write down in your journal, in your notebook, get emotional, write down about the pattern, how it's impacted you, why you're releasing it, how good it feels to release it, what's going to happen now that you released it, cry a whole fucking bunch, maybe get angry and punch a pillow. And then I would go and fucking submerge it in water. And you can do whatever you want. If you want some fancy ritual to do there other than just popping it in some water, you let me know. We can make it a full personalized ritual for you. Put it in water. Let it soak a little bit. And then go bury it in the earth. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. I had a client one time that flushed some shit down the toilet. I thought that was really funny. Maybe not great for our pipes, but you know what? I'm not a plumber. And she can do what she wants. Okay, so that's your ritual. And replacing, this is huge. Again, when I do rewire work or brain retraining with clients, when we do this type of work, the 4 steps are acknowledge, question, replace, move your body. Acknowledge what's the fuck going on. Say it out loud. Question it, and that can go so many different ways. Replace, which is the step we're on right now, and move your body. Replace for this step number 5 is also going to include move. I'm going to ask you to create a mantra. After you do all of these steps, have a mantra ready, create it throughout it. And the mantra, I wrote down one for you. I honor myself and my lineage by choosing dot, dot, dot. I honor myself and my lineage by choosing insert whatever. And as you say this throughout the day, move your body. Maybe that means that you say it during stretching or during working out or during dancing or doing somatic yoga or what the fuck ever. But while you move your body, because this shit lives in your body, while you move your body, speak your new mantra. Okay? So remember, I have some bonus journal prompts specifically for this work that we're talking about today that I would love to give you. Just send me a DM or an email at my personal email address, heatherpowell.coaching@gmail.com. I would love to give them to you. Thank you for hanging out with me today talking about a very important topic. It's one of my favorite pieces of work that I do with clients. I love doing any type of soul work. There's so many aspects of soul and spiritual work that I do with clients, and this is one of my favorites. When it comes to ancestral healing and lineage healing, there's a lot that lives here. There's a lot that we can do. And honestly, most of it comes when I'm sitting one-on-one with clients and we do deep meditation, deep visualization work, and their ancestors come to them. It's not like they just come to me. They come to them and they can feel them. They can see them. They know that they're there. They're receiving messages from them. It's otherworldly. It's magical. It's beyond what we can explain. And they not only receive the wisdom and the messages and the love while they're there, but we are able to identify these patterns so quickly. And once you have that type of experience where you have your ancestors come to you, and again, fucking magical, you can't even put it into words. Like it's the type of shit you can only talk about with certain people. You know what I mean? And once you have that experience, everything becomes easier. It's so much easier to recognize the family patterns. It's so much easier to start breaking through them. It does take consistency because it won't be a one and done. I can tell you that. But it's so much easier. So if you want to do this work one-on-one, let me know. As of today, September 8th of 2025, I have one-on-one spot left that starts October, I think it's the week of October 13th, October 12th-ish. So it starts in a little bit more than a month, and it's a 9-month program. I have decided, because I've had women that don't necessarily want to do the 9-month, I am willing to do either the 9 or the 6-month. So one spot left though. We start in October, we end in 2026, in the spring going into the summer of 2026. If you want that last spot, you need to reach out to me now. It's honestly surprising that this one hasn't filled. There's been a lot of women that I've been talking to about it, but nobody has put down a deposit. And remember, your deposit is also first month's payment because it's monthly payments. I'm not going to make you pay the full thing up front unless you fucking want to. Like half the women do. You don't have to though. Monthly payment is also your deposit. And once you sign that contract, we are ready to rock and roll and we start working together, sending voice clips and notes back and forth, getting to know each other. But no one has gone full throttle. A lot of women and I have chatted about this, but no one has pulled the trigger. So if you want that spot, please reach out to me. Okay. I would love to not only do this type of work with you, but so many other types. So let's leave it with how we always leave it. Go be kind to yourself and be kind to others. I'm going to ask you today to notice, I mean, I'm sure you already have, obviously, through this podcast episode, notice some of the karmic loops, notice some of the family patterns that live within you, that are alive within you, behaviors, ways of being, ways of speaking, ways of showing up in the world. See them alive in you and have compassion for yourself, forgive yourself, and make the change. Let that be the kindness that you extend to yourself today, especially the compassion and forgiveness. And when it comes to being kind to others, apply that. You probably have family members that you can see family patterns running wild in. You see them alive and well, those patterns within those people. Now, I'm not the one that's going to sit here and tell you that you need to have a relationship with everybody in your family because blood is blood, bullshit. I don't believe that. I am not the woman to tell you to do that shit. Absolutely not. Blood, in some cases, is thicker than water. You can forgive someone, understand them, have compassion for them, observe them, and you can also have distance for your own well being. So, whatever kindness that you would like to extend to another, especially when it comes to family patterns and behaviors and beliefs, if there are ones that you want these people in your life and you love them, you adore them, you want to get closer with them and nurture the relationships, then please do. But if you don't, then don't. You can still be kind to them and have compassion for them. Okay? I hope that this episode helped with so many aspects to ancestral healing and understanding how it works, not only from the soul side, but also from the science end. And again, if you would like to do this work and go way deeper and get way more personal with it, please reach out and let me know. Remember, leave us a review. We love when you do. Give us a 5-star if you feel such. And head over to YouTube if you're not already there. And remember to leave a comment. We love seeing those comments. And if you want to, you can always leave a comment about a topic that you would like us to do a podcast episode on next. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one. And remember, go be kind to yourself and be kind to others.